Welcome back to AVAIYA, Debbie.
Thank you. It's good to be back and good to see you.
Yeah, right back at you. We're glad to have you here as always. So let's talk about, why do you think it can be difficult for people to break free, heal, recover after something like narcissistic abuse?
I think it's a combination of different things. Definitely cognitive dissonance when you've been, especially with the more covert narcissist, you've been used to seeing them through a certain light, and now you're experiencing them in a whole different way, and it's really confusing, and it's hard to reconcile the two beliefs in your head, the two thoughts of, I've seen this person this way for sometimes decades, and now they're behaving this way. And so you have a lot of excuses for them, and can get caught up in those conflicting thoughts. And then when you're gaslit by someone, it's really difficult to see the truth and your reality and your own reality. It's difficult to see who you are. It's difficult to see who they are. So it's a lot of swirling thoughts and beliefs, and it's hard to know the truth. And also there can be what's called a trauma bond, where because of intermittent reinforcement, it's the most powerful way to control someone, is when you're sometimes being really kind to them and then being abusive to them, and then being kind and abusive, and you just never know what you're going to get. And they've done scientific studies on animals where if they, I think it was like monkeys, where they would feed them certain treats every hour. And so they would learn when they ding this bell, they would get the treat. Then they started doing it more infrequently. And so then the monkeys wouldn't know when the treat would come. Sometimes the bell would work, sometimes it wouldn't. And it became very addictive to them. And they would measure their dopamine levels, and when their dopamine was the highest is not when they got the treat, but when they were in anticipation of getting it. So in these relationships, you can get in this healthy kind of addicted pattern of being addicted to that hope and that anticipation of the next crumb of love or kindness that they might give you. So all those elements together are just this perfect storm of making you feel stuck, like you can't break free.
It's fascinating. I'm so glad you mentioned that last part around that study and the addiction to the hope, addiction to that anticipation of when am I going to get the love that I think is maybe coming to me, or what have you. I think that is so interesting how we operate like that. So what would you say are some of the common side effects of narcissistic abuse, whether that's all the way back in childhood, in a current romantic partnership or friendships or what have you? What are some of the effects?
Definitely low self-esteem and low self-worth, and questioning yourself, not feeling solid or being able to trust yourself with your own decisions. A very basic feeling of not even feeling worthy of being happy or being treated well or being respected, just feeling like there's something wrong with you, and for whatever reason you don't deserve the nice things other people deserve. That's often an after effect. It's really common to have health issues, especially chronic issues and health stuff that you just don't know where it came from. And, it's just kind of chronically tired or chronic adrenal fatigue. A lot of people aren't aware of that. Autoimmune diseases, candida, it can just feel like this constant battle of health stuff. And a lot of the reason for that is one effect of after being with a narcissist is your nervous system gets dysregulated. So it doesn't work in a normal functioning way. So there's a lot of spiking of anxiety and then dropping down into depression. So it's can be a lot of emotional irregulation that can happen from constant trauma. You know, you get CPTSD, complex PTSD. PTSD is more from like an isolated incident. Complex PTSD comes from when you've been dealing with something for a long time that's ongoing. So your body learns to be in a constant fight, flight, or freeze state, and it loses its regulation.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I'm curious, right? Since you hone in on covert narcissism in your books, is there a difference? Do you see different effects for people if they have experienced a covert narcissist versus a more traditional, right, overt narcissist that we like most people know that one really well?
There's a lot more confusion with the covert narcissist, and a lot more distrust in life and other people, because you've experienced this person that to everybody else is so nice and a good person, and sometimes can be just well loved and well revered in the community. They can be humanitarians, they can be therapists, they can be coaches, they can be very well-known people. I coached a woman one time who was married to a very well-known actor that most everybody would know, and he was so revered, and so it can feel like, and if that was true of your dad or your mom, it can feel like it must be me. I must be the problem because everyone else loves these people and they're so nice. And then the same with you too, because they love bombed you in the beginning. And then there was the devaluing and the demeaning things they did. The traits are so subtle that you can miss them for years and decades. People have been married to a covert narcissist for over 40 years and had no idea. That's how subtle they are. And there's a spectrum. So the more covert they are, they're kind of more, they're more crafty and more cloaked the way they demean and devalue you. So it can lead you for years just seeing yourself not clearly and feeling unsafe in the world, because who can you trust? I remember talking to a woman and she was saying, yeah, I felt really good about this guy because he had a really good reputation, and in the past I would have bought into that too, but it's almost like a red flag to me now when someone has a good reputation, because that's the big thing with the covert narcissist. It's how they appear to other people as their big value.